I'm John Lofton, and this is The Lunatic Left. The very foundation of America's core beliefs, as stated in our founding document, the Constitution, are this: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The very first thing mentioned by our founding fathers is the most fundamental and basic: the right to life. Today's topic, abortion. And as always, I will show you how the lunatic left on the issue of abortion, as with all issues, attempt to discredit, deny, and cast doubt on the truth of abortion, and how they again hypocritically deny their own God, science, when it comes to murdering unborn babies. Because from the beginning, the horror of abortion, although publicly was an issue of women's health, secretly and in reality, it was an agenda of population control in the minority community, and it was all about making money. Let's be honest, no one would ever advocate the outright murder of babies, right? At least no one in their right mind. And the only ones in recorded history to champion such a thing were deemed madmen and lunatics by historians and scholars alike. Men like King Herod, Hitler, Mao Zedong, Stalin. This being the case, the Democratic Party and the lunatic left in the early 70s had three major tasks they had to accomplish if they wanted to successfully push their agenda of on-demand abortion. Number one, the first task, and the most important, was to convince Congress, the Supreme Court, and the American people that what was growing in the mother's womb was not a person at all, who from the moment of conception was afforded the protection by the U.S. Constitution. So when talking about the unborn child, they used words like fetus, embryo, fertilized egg, developing infant, blastula, blob of cells. They even used the word parasite when talking about an unborn child. All these words were designed to desensitize the public and to pull the very conscious of the mothers-to-be away from the truth that there was a living human being with a soul growing inside of them. If it wasn't a baby, a person, a human, then it wasn't murder. So task number one, discredit the validity of life, and I'm sorry to say that at least in the arena of public opinion, they succeeded. Task number two, their next task was to shout from the hilltops that this was a woman's health issue, and that it was a decision that lies solely with the mother because the child was growing inside of her. My body, my choice became the battle cry. And even though it was obvious to all that were there that there were three lives involved here, the mother, the father, and the unborn child, in true lunatic left fashion, they pushed ahead with their false narrative that the fate of the baby that was growing inside of the mother was hers and hers alone to decide. The father and certainly the baby itself would have no voice in this decision. Another very important part of this second task was to label anyone who disagreed with them into someone who hated women. If you disagreed with them, you were labeled as someone who didn't care about women and their health. And in fact, you preferred to see women in back alleys having babies ripped from their wombs with coat hangers. So task number two, although there are three people involved, mother, father, baby, they had to make it a one-person issue and label you as a misogynist if you disagreed. Sadly, again, they succeeded. Their third and final task, discredit 200 years of science and biology. For 200 years, physicians taught that what was growing inside of a woman was a child, and abortion was only ever even considered in the cases of extreme risk health to the health of the mother, or sometimes in cases of rape or incest. The left had to get the scientific community on their side to convince us that this was not a baby. Now remember, for 14,000 years, all of recorded human history, everyone knew that what was growing inside of a woman was a baby, a human, a child, a person. But suddenly, in the most technological age in the history of mankind, now we don't have the capability to say whether or not what is growing inside of a woman is in fact a person. Well, it's not an insect, a reptile, a crustacean. No, its DNA, the very building blocks or storybook of life, if you will, tells us very plainly in scientific language that what resides in the womb of a woman is in fact a human baby. a child, a person, and that makes abortion murder. I would like to call on President Trump to appoint a council of accredited scientists, biologists, and DNA experts to once and for all scientifically conclude and proclaim what we all already know to be true, that life begins at conception, and therefore abortion, for any reason, is in fact murder. I'm John Lofton, and this has been The Lunatic Left.